Well, you're welcome along to Trader Chat with Johnny Ward and Flynn Goward. And because we're not trained by Nicky Henderson, we are going to run. We do turn up. We're going to reflect on what was a bumper weekend in racing, arguably one of the maddest couple of weeks in terms of racing news I think that we've ever encountered, and just goes on and on and on. And if we are a little bit maybe insecure about the future of racing, we've no worries whatsoever about publicity at the moment because it's basically in the paper every day. We're going to get through a bit of football, Formula One, darts as well, and we look ahead to the weekend. Flynn, you're a young father, but you just turn up every week. You're fresh. You just want to talk racing. You want to talk punting. How are you keeping?
I'm all good, thank you. Less so yourself though, Johnny. We were actually meant to be filming on Monday. I don't know if you want to swing the camera around and show what you've managed to do on Monday after a couple of drinks, or you can at least explain it to the listeners. Look at this. Oh, absolutely sensational stuff after a few IPAs, I hear.
Sorry, well, that's actually not true. A, there were no IPAs involved, and B, it was a soccer injury that was quite bad a week later and forced me to sort of fall on my ankle, my bad ankle, and fracture it in two places. But it was Guinness, not IPA.
Oh, right. Okay, well, at least some type of drink was involved, so you'd have to take the whole
Thank you for your care.
Yeah, no problem at all.
But this is the beauty of remote working. If we go into lockdown now, I think it's a positive because everyone will be as miserable as I will. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, true. Swings and roundabouts. But you can't be miserable about the racing at the moment.
Miserable about Nicky Henderson.
Yeah, I know. It's really disappointing, isn't it? What's your view on it? I would say as a trainer, if you feel like your horse isn't right, you're not obligated to run, obviously. But I can also see both sides of it. I don't think either side is completely right. I think with these things, you have to view both sides and then tentatively take one or the other. I mean, people that come out really brash one side or the other, I just don't really understand, because it's quite clear that there are two sides to this from a horse welfare point of view. I don't think you can argue against the horse welfare point of view, can you?
No, but I think there's more to it than that. And I mean, he's such a history of doing this at this stage that it's just very frustrating. I mean, your horse doesn't need to be 100% run. Horses are run every day of the week that aren't 100%. And a horse getting beaten and a short head in his seasonal debut was great for racing in some respects. That's what we talk about. Leaving him at home does nothing for racing. So that's my opinion on it. But I respect the fact that Nicky's obviously a top trainer. But I think people just get a bit fed up with it. And it's not like the Tingle Creek is going to be a disaster of a race, but it could be better.
Yeah, I think that he's just got it in his head. I think that Altior versus Surname clash has really stuck with him. He thinks that, and it probably did, that race just completely ruined Altior, and it probably didn't do Surname too great either. I know that someone came out and said that they didn't win a race again when they obviously did. They won some decent races, Charlie Hall being one of them for Surname. But I think you can say with quite with some conviction that those horses didn't reach the heights that they previously had done after that race. And I feel like Nicky Henderson probably now would definitely have pulled Altior out of that race in hindsight, and he's learned from that going forward. Whether you can compare the Tingle Creek on decent enough ground as a first run of the season and the slog, and the slog for Altior over a trip further than what he was used to, I don't think you can compare them completely. But I do think that clash between Altior and Surname has had a big effect on Nicky Henderson and ultimately impacted his decision here. Let's talk about the Tingle Creek as we want to get going. Obviously, we're talking here on Wednesday evening. I'm assuming it's going to go out tonight, which means that we won't know the declarations. The two-day declarations come out in the morning. As we stand, Shishkin Poursoir is in the race. Let me just get the bet up here. I've actually got up the exchange prices just to see if there was any movement, to see whether any were likely to go or not. But in terms of Star Sports prices, Shishkin Poursoir 5-4, Newbury and Fairyhouse 13-8, Greenatine is in there at 3s, Allaho is 8-1, Captain Guinness 10-1, Hitman 10s, and Cheddleton is 66. Could have 3 runners here, Johnny, quite easily.
Could have 3 runners, and it's interesting that Willie has such a stronghold in the race because he's traditionally very slow to get his horses going this time of season, and now we're edging into December. He does start to run them, and Shishkin Poursoir, I'm still absolutely amazed he was beaten at Cheltenham. I did have some reservation about getting up the hill, but the way he did it at Punchestown completely put to bed any stamina issues, and the fact that they just kind of rode him with a bit more balls. We could literally have 3 or 4 runners in the Tingle Creek, and that is kind of insane. If you want to give your horse a run, get him going for the season, if he gets beaten in this race on nice ground, what's so bad about that? Like, you don't need to win every race.
Yeah, well, when you look at the Tingle Creek, in terms of what you think certain runners are, barring any mishaps, Newbury, Greenatine and Hitman. I don't think Cheddleton's going. Can't see Captain Guinness coming over. Allaho's not going to go. And then I'm still not sure whether Shishkin will actually come over because of the ground. I think it's quick ground.
With all due respect, and also with Willie, you mean you literally can't know what's going to happen until the last minute.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the ground's a huge thing. I don't think he brings him over if the ground's good soft. I think he wants a bit more cut than that, and I can't see him bringing him over here. And Newbury and Fairyhouse is no mug either. I would actually fancy Newbury and Fairyhouse to do a bit of a job on him, but I can't see him coming over if the ground is as quick as what we're expecting at Sandown. So that's just one to keep an eye on whether he's actually going to come. I'm just looking at the Betfair here. Shishkin's 2.6 and 2.74 to lay. That has shortened. He was a little bit bigger than that, and Newbury and Fairyhouse was pretty solid in there, 2.98 against 3.05 to lay. Then you've got Greentein in there at 4.6 and then 5 to lay. So just in terms of plotting about if they're actually going to come over, obviously the exchanges normally give us a full story, but they are all pretty strong there, and Shishkin's actually come back in. So no kind of moody movements as such for the moment. Definitely the story was pulled out today, obviously, him, so I didn't read him in the betting. Hopefully should be an interesting race. I'm actually going to Sandown on Saturday.
Oh, lovely.
I would say it's probably the race that I'm probably least excited for, just because some of the other races look like bumper races, to be fair. Whilst we're talking about Sandown for Saturday, we actually might as well just do this week's race and then come on to next week's in just a moment, Johnny. Do you think?
Sure, go ahead.
Good stuff. Let's talk about the other races on Saturday. Again, we'll be getting decks tomorrow morning, but just in terms of a few well-backed horses, we've got the Henry VIII Novice Chase. Edwardstone's been the one for money here. Third Time Lucki is in the betting. He's even money. Edwardstone's 100 to 30, 4 to 1 Manila Drama, Warlord 9 to 2, 13 to 2 Bar. Decent money for Edwardstone. I'm not sure whether Third Time Lucki's going to turn up. We'll have to see what comes through tomorrow. Stolen Silver would be the one that I like for the race, around the 15 to 2, 8 to 1 mark. If they bung him out in front, I think he could just jump them all into the ground. He might not be good enough, but he's going to stay well over two miles. He's going to be one of those really nice staying 2 milers. And he jumps actually fantastically for Sam Thomas. So
I think you're a bit of a Sam Thomas fan.
I am. I do. I really like the way he trains. Before Midnight's obviously a very good horse who's now under Sam Thomas. And Stolen Silver in the same colours, the $1 million in my partnership. I think he could be bunged out and he'll make it a test across the railway.
Do you know, on that, I think we need the likes of Sam Thomas and Ollie Murphy big time for racing in Britain, to kind of these young emerging trainers to give it a bit of life, because I think it's needed, and I'd be delighted if he got some good horses as well and did well.
Yeah, Dan Skelton's probably the one that's giving it the best go at the moment, isn't he? I know he's in
Who's also been in the news.
Yeah,
yeah. How is Flynn Goward not even in the news at this stage? Everyone's in the news.
Oh, absolute carnage. But I would imagine he probably wants to be in the news for different reasons when it comes to Saturday. Got some really big runners there. But that's the Henry VIII Novice Chase. We've got the London National Handicap Chase, which is the marathon. The one that's been well bet here has been Dish Abba. Opened up around 8 to 1, is now 9 to 2 with us. That would be the one that I'd probably fancy for the race, to be fair. Won twice at Sandown, run twice at Sandown. Will love this trip. Came second to Kashari on its first run over hurdles at Aintree. Just to prep for this, I believe. He was 25 to 1 that day and just ran really, really well. And then back over fences here, I think he'll have a massive chance. And he's racing against Strictly a Dancer, who has just been a string of ones next to his name. Upton trip here. He's 100 to 30. Then you're 9 to 2 Dish Abba, 11 to 2 Bar there. And then the other race that we have on site for Sandown, we can just see if we've got it. Can't see it just here for Sandown, but we do have some of the Aintree races up for Saturday. The Becher, obviously being the feature. We're going to run our all over the place offer, so do have a look at that on the website. If your horse does complete the course but finishes outside of the standard place terms that we offer, then you'll get your money, your win part of the bet back as a free bet. So you will be able to cop some money back there if you do complete the course in the Becher, but you don't end up finishing in the places. So do keep an eye on that offer. Matt Tossi's your favourite here at 13 to 2, along with Snow Leopardess. A lot of money for Snow Leopardess anti-post, was around the 9 to 1 mark. That's been backed into Snow Leopardess. I think the claims are pretty obvious for that one. Ascaria 10 in there at 7 to 1. Chris's Dream has been backed in from 11s into 8s. Kimberlite Candy, we've seen some money for that one at 8 to 1. Mighty Fund at 8 to 1, and then we're 11 to 1 Bar there.
No champ.
No champ running in the many clouds. I mean, that market's just been a bit of a farce of a market, isn't it? We saw a flurry. We saw a flurry of money for Protector at around 7 to 2, and we saw money for Native River at around 5 to 1, with the view that obviously the front two weren't going to go. Once we saw that coming in, we actually pulled the markets because we thought it was pretty null and void having a market up where the front two and the market aren't going to go. So I'd imagine Album Photo's not coming over, and they've obviously ruled champ out already. So the kind of shrewd punters are on 3 places a fifth each way on Native River and Protectorate. I think Protectorate will probably do a job on Native River, to be fair. The kind of young pretender coming up, he's obviously won Aintree before over 2.5 miles, stepping up to 3 miles here. I think the test should be absolutely perfect in terms of your first step up to 3 miles being at Aintree. Obviously running on really well in the Paddy Power. Did make a mistake early doors as well, so it wouldn't surprise me if he went and got the job done. But the money has all been about those two for Aintree on Saturday. There is another decent race, which is a juvenile hurdle Aintree. White Pepper has just been absolutely smashed up here. Opened up 3-1 Antipodes, is now 6-4. Then your 5-1 Lady Pacifico and 5-1 Malacana.
Gavin's won that race before, hasn't he?
I believe he has, yeah.
I think Charles Girl won it.
Yeah, it's been really, really well bet, White Pepper. So that is probably the kind of buzz horse of the weekend.
Charles Girl and Famous Millie won it for the yard, actually. There you go.
There you go. So he's obviously got back form in the race. Tamar Bridge is another one that's been well bet. That's in the handicap Aintree, the handicap hurdle towards the end of the card. I think it might be the last race on the card. Tamar Bridge was bet from 7, it's now 4. That's a really promising horse, Rory Murphy. It wasn't owned by the McNeil family, I don't think, last time out, but it's been acquired by the McNeil family, and he just looked a kind of superstar in waiting. So do give that one a watch. That's been really well bet into favouritism in the last. Just in terms of stand down on Friday, we do have final decks for Friday. But we have seen some interesting money for one, which is in the 150 on Friday, and that's Bothwell Bridge. That's the Nicky Henderson charge ridden by Nico de Boinville. I've got here into 3-1 from 7-2, but we've seen some smart money for that one, so do keep an eye on that one. If you did fancy a bet, then we've obviously got that on site. All of Friday's races. And once we get the decks through for Saturday, we'll have them all on site tomorrow as well.
Let's talk last week. We heard it. We had a dead heat in the Fighting Fifth. We obviously had a bit of an emotional winner with Trevor Hemmings in the big race. How did it go for the firm?
So starting with Newbury, so we actually had some decent results last week. If you actually flip through the results, they were really favourable for us as a bookmaker. The Labrets Trophy was a fantastic result for the firm. Cloudy Glen getting the job done. Now 25-1 from 66 for the Grand National in April. Fiddler on the Roof would have been a taper in the book, so we're happy to see that one chinned. And Eclat de Rear was the one that they came for. Strongest in the market all day. Didn't run any type of race, did it? Eclat de Rear.
Absolutely bombed.
Yeah, exactly. As I was just mentioning, we're running the all over the place offer for the Becher this weekend, but we actually ran it for the Labrets Trophy as well. So you got your each way part backs a free bet as part of our all over the place offer if you did have a finisher there that finished out of the places. So not all lost if you bet one of those in the Labrets Trophy. Soaring Glory was really well bet and then well beat in the listed handicap hurdle. I saw Tom Siegel saying before the race that he thought he was going to be the shortest price UK runner in the in the Supreme this year, but that doesn't look likely, does it? In the Champion Hurdle, sorry. We had a good result in that race with the outsider winning. Performance of the day went to Ahoy Senor. I'm sure you've seen this, Johnny. What were your thoughts on the performance?
I did not actually see it because I was on the radio on Saturday.
Not seen Ahoy Senor. Well, he absolutely pulverised the field in the 1240, and now into 6-1 from 16 for the Festival Novice Chase. That is an absolutely stonking race, the Festival Novice Chase at the festival next year. I know we're talking about Cheltenham again, but I can't help myself here. If you look at
the Novice Chase division, it's so strong.
It is, yeah. Brave Man's Game 9-2, Galopin de Champ 9-2, Ahoy Senor 11-2 now. So shortened in again. Bob Oninger obviously won't go. I don't think My Drogo will go. My Fancy Oscar Elite's in there at 22-1, a bit further down. But that could be a proper race. Normally that race cuts up as well, but it could be a proper race next year. That.
Well, I know they like Mr. Incredible, and it would be great if we did have a bit of depth in the British division because the likes of his stable with Bob Ollinger, I know like Henry's horses are an unbelievable nick. And he beat him by 31 lengths, which is pretty insane.
He was really well bet as well, Mr. Incredible. And Ahoy Senor was weak. Ahoy Senor was 15-8 in the morning. It's gone off 5-2. So Pete Schoonemore's come out and said that he's the best horse that he's ever been involved with. And the sectionals back up his performance, actually. The sectionals are just fantastic. His closing sectionals. I'll be a little bit worried about his jumping. That was worrying me slightly. When he sees a stride, he's fantastic, but he's not the most clever. So that was worrying me a little bit, like coming down to the third last at Cheltenham. That would worry me. My initial thought was what an engine, and then also I just wouldn't trust him like completely which means that 11-2 was just a little bit on the skinny side for me. But in terms of an engine, I would have him above Brave Man's Game, because Brave Man's Game's obviously got the jump in there, but he's got the jumping to take him there. But then I'm not sure about the engine of Brave Man's Game. I think he'll get found out by a couple once we get to March.
Yeah, even now you're thinking of March, which is quite beautiful. We did have the fighting fifth as well, which was obviously a dead heat, and we had Fairyhouse and very well backed Honeysuckle win, and I thought some disappointing performances in behind. I liked Sal the 8th run well against her. But brilliant renewal of the Royal Bond as well. My mate Mozzie touched off. Was it a busy Sunday for the firm?
It was a very busy Sunday. Like I say, Honeysuckle is the only one place you can start. She's an absolute superstar from there, isn't she? She's now into 4 to 5. Yes, 4 to 5 for the champion hurdle. She was a small loser in the book, but she was a little bit too short to kind of get in. She was around the 3 on 4 to 11 mark, wasn't she? So she was hard to actually lay, albeit she was a small loser. It was a weird race in the way that it was run as well, wasn't it? It was a kind of you can see what they were trying to do with Stormy Island, just to try a different tactic. If you've not got the class, then try and win a race a different way. But you'd say that Ronald Pumps ran a decent race there. Saudio was disappointing. Abracadabra probably wasn't tuned up for it. So I'm not really sure what to make of it, really. I wouldn't know how much Honeysuckle was tuned up for it either, to be honest with you. So, but fantastic performance from her. Now 4 to 5 to Chamois Hurdle, the first odds-on favourite for Cheltenham in March. Phil Dorr ran in the juvenile hurdle. I think people that had previously bet Phil Dorr for the Triumph were like, "Oh yeah, I was pretty happy with that," and people that hadn't bet Phil Dorr were like, "Well, I wasn't really impressed at all."
Yeah, I don't think Lunar Power is bad, to be honest. He was, and I think he had his ground. He's really been progressing. He jumps well, and I think this might have been a better race than it looked for a 4-7 shot winning kind of a little bit readily at the line. I think it was probably better than it looked.
Yeah, maybe. They were talking about the ground being a bit quick as well, weren't they? So the ground might have been a little bit quick, but I think there were 2 decent horses, Paul Miles clear, and Luna Power seemed to jump really well too. So they're probably 2 to take forward. Phil Dorr is 4 to 1 for the Triumph in March. It wouldn't be for me. I'd happily lay that price. Beacon Edge won the Drinmore after looking well out of it at halfway. 11 to 1 from 18 for the Festival Novice Chase and 14 from 18 for the Marsh. You think he'd stay a little bit further as well, the way he just kind of ran through the line. A lot of the horses at Fairyhouse actually just looked like they came from miles back, didn't they? Rather than being up with the pace.
That was a bit of a mad race as well, but obviously Grand Party was practically brought down. Cape Gentleman fell 4 out, and it all kind of changed late on. But in fairness, that's solid form as well. Gabinaco was second, and Beacon Edge, he does stay. I'd say you could see him in the 4-miler.
Yeah, potentially. I'm surprised I've not quoted him there. I'll have a look in a minute, see what he is for the 4-miler. Like I said just a minute ago, my mate Mozzie was chinned out of it. All the money was for Impervious, who was banged there before she kind of disappeared after the last, got it all wrong, kind of got crowded a little bit. Statuaire won the race at 12 to 1, another decent result for us. So on Sunday, it was a kind of decent results at Fairyhouse. We didn't get stung by Honeysuckle too badly, and then the other results are absolutely fine as well. We do need to talk about the Fine Fifth just quickly. A bit of an underwhelming result in terms of quality, I think. Obviously, we had a dead heat between Epatante and Not So Sleepy. Epatante was a small loser in the book, but there was nothing mad going on there, really. And I think all the backers of Honeysuckle were probably the ones cheering whilst they were watching that race, because you're thinking, oh, not really much has come out there to challenge the Supermare.
100%. Cancer really been beaten the way it's going, and I think as much as she probably was well tuned for Sunday, because I think they're very protective of her unbeaten record now. I just you just have to stop saying there's any flaws in her at this stage, and you can't just pick a hole in all her rivals. For me, she's miles better than Epatante anyway.
Yeah, me too. I think she's just miles the best, and she'll probably be winning another champion hurdle. But I wouldn't fancy taking 4 to 5 now to find out whether she's actually going to get there or not. But you'd have to upgrade Benny de Dieu a bit, wouldn't you, for a couple of years back? Only just beat by Honeysuckle in that mare's hurdle, and maybe she didn't get the kind of day in the sun that she needed. I know she won a French champion hurdle, didn't she? But think how close she came to Honeysuckle. That's way closer than any other horse has.
And speaking of day in the sun, Michael Carrick has had a couple, beating Villarreal away, getting a 1-1 draw at Chelsea after dropping Ronaldo, which to me makes perfect sense. How was this for the weekend? Because, obviously a draw is traditionally a good result. Liverpool got the job done. It was a very, very interesting time of football of late, actually, with the whole Man United thing. But Man City, beat PSG, but showing some frailties in the league. What was the weekend like?
Weekend was decent results in terms of movers. Man City are 4-6 from 8-11, so they've tightened up ever so slightly. Chelsea are 11-4 from 9-4, so they've actually gone the other way. Liverpool are 4-1 from 9-2. For a top four finish, Arsenal are in here. They are into 5-2 from 130, and West Ham are out to 4-1 from 72. Obviously, we're going to have some teams playing tonight, so by the time this goes out, these prices may fluctuate, especially with West Ham playing and the like, and the top teams playing as well, aren't they? So we've got some interesting games tonight. Those were the movements for last week. We've got all of the kind of top markets up there as well. Salah is 8-11 to be top goal scorer, then your 8-1 bar there. And then player of the year, Salah again 8-11, and then 10-1 bar in that market. The relegation market's been updated after last night. There was a massive game for relegation last night, and Newcastle would have been absolutely fuming to get that player sent off so early. Such a silly challenge to make as well from Clark. Norwich are now 2-9 to go down. Newcastle 8-13. Watford are odds on as well at 5-6, and then your Levels, your Devils, even money Burnley, and then 4-1 Leeds. So four teams in the thick of it there: Burnley, Watford, Newcastle, and Norwich. Huge game last night, and it was a point apiece, which I don't think many would have been happy with, especially in the Tyneside area. We've got next manager to leave their post. Rafa Benitez is in there, even money. Massive game tonight for Rafa, right?
Yeah, it's all going P-Tong. I fully expected Rafa to do a good job. We're only 13 games in, but tonight's a big game.
Absolutely huge against Liverpool tonight. Even money, Nets managers go. You would imagine that after tonight's game, if they get beat, that'll be a lot shorter. Ralph Hasenhüttl is in there at 9-2. Again, they've got a tough game tonight, Southampton. I think they're playing Leicester at home, aren't they? So you'd think that are they actually favourites? I think they might actually be favourites to win tonight. Just off the top of my head. They are. They're 6-4 to win tonight, Southampton. So that's a massive game for Ralph Hasenhüttl, who is second favourite at 9-2 to go next. So we've got all the football markets. Obviously, we've got games tonight. We've got United versus Arsenal tomorrow. We've got the two good offer that's ongoing. So if your team does go 2 goals ahead, then we'll pay a bit out as a winner, up to £1,000, I think it is. Whatever the result obviously ends up. So do check that out. And yeah, we've got some exciting football to look forward to Thursday and then at this weekend. Who do you think is going to win out of United and Arsenal, Johnny?
I'm not sure what to make of Man United at the moment, but I think they will have an upsurge. And I thought Arsenal were dreadful against Liverpool, to be honest. So I'd probably go with Man United. I still fancy Chelsea to win the league, but we'll see what happens with the African Nations Cup and how Liverpool come out of that. It's a fascinating Premier League this season, I have to say.
It certainly is. What's happening with the African Cup of Nations kind of situation? As Salah and the like going to be heading out?
They will indeed, yeah. And then, like, it's obviously that's going to be a big problem for Liverpool with those players going away, because Salah, to me, has benefited from having his first. Salah and Mane had their first proper time off in the summer for some time, and Salah's having an unbelievable season, and that's going to be a challenge for them. But like, obviously, that's the one issue with having African players, that it does take place at this time. But how will Liverpool come out of that? I'm not sure, and I don't know if they're strong enough to win games without Salah, like particularly big games. What are we like? They're 2 points off Chelsea, but a point off Man City, and I don't know. Liverpool still, to me, they're very reliant on Salah, maybe more so than before.
Well, the lights got off again. There we go. We're back.
There we go. I know. And we also got a bit of darts and NFL to get through.
We do indeed. So just some moves in the darts. Peter Wright is 7th from 8-1 for the World Darts Championship after winning the Players' Championship. In the NFL, New England Patriots have won 6 in a row now. They're now 10-1 from 12. So they're the big movers. I'm being told from all the NFL sports boys that it's probably the closest or the kind of tightest and the biggest price favourite for the Super Bowl in a long time. So really interesting stuff to be checking out if you are into the NFL. And then we've got Formula One as well, Johnny. We've got a huge penultimate race coming up at Saudi Arabia. For the race itself, Lewis Hamilton is 4-9. Mercedes is showing some unbelievable pace. Verstappen's in there at 9-4. Then your 12-1 bar with Bottas. We do have the qualifying, the race, the Drivers' Championship, the Constructors, and we've also got the fastest in practice one up on site as well. Lewis Hamilton 11-8 there, 9-4 Bottas and 9-4 Verstappen. We've also got specials up on site as well, so check them out. Anything Formula One, then we obviously seem to have it. We do have a 5-second chance offer for the actual race itself, where you get 50% of your stake back as a free bet if your driver finishes second, beaten under 5 seconds. So if you think it's going to be a tight race, then do have a bet in that race winner market, and there's an offer to be on your side as well. So loads going on this weekend. But if we're talking fast things, it's all about the Tingle Creek this weekend. Hopefully, Shishkin and Newbury and Fairyhouse both turn up, and we're treated to a very decent 2-mile contest at the weekend.
One thing I can tell you is that Shishkin won't be there, and neither will Champ. But at the same time, racing is racing. Nicky Henderson has been in the game much longer than I. This is Johnny Ward and Flynn Goward signing off from Trader Chat. So much to get through, and we shall be back next week.